Mbappe attack will benefit from it. Argentina has the best attacking side in the World Cup. Higuain, Aguero, Messi, Dybala, but they struggle to score goals. This side should be banging 3 or more goals every game. If they fix their tactics, however, they will boss everyone else.
Guess I was too optimistic. Argentina World Cup 2018 Russia. Some of you guys asked me about making a sequel to my previous video to discuss what happened. Why did Argentina perform so badly? If you are looking for a video analysis on the subject, well, you came to the right place, because I'm going to dissect their tactics and choices briefly and as good as possible. Is it too much to ask for? Yeah. Can I put my lips on your skin, baby? Much to ask for? Yeah. Can I put my... First, we need to establish Argentina's strengths and weaknesses. Their attack is their strength. On paper, they had the best attackers in the whole tournament. Lionel Messi, Dybala, Aguero, Di Maria and Higuain. Their midfield is average. Only Banega and Lo Celso are good. And Mascherano became unreliable because of his age. Their defense is obviously weak, bar Otamendi. The goalies are a weakness. With this in mind, let's briefly review their 4 games in the World Cup. The first game was against Iceland. Their performance was average, they controlled the game, and they missed lots of chances. Iceland played defense, a deep block, and relied on counterattacks. The second game was against Croatia, and oh my god, Argentina's performance was the worst I've seen from a big team in 2018, and the second worst performance I've seen in my whole life. The first one is Brazil's 2014 semifinal against Germany. The team was in shambles. The change in lineup and tactics destroyed Argentina's stability, and we all know what happened next. Their best performance came against Nigeria. The lineup was better, the team was organized, players wanted to win, and with luck, they were able to qualify for the round of 16. Against France, their performance was average. The French team had better chemistry and tactics. It was already too late for Argentina. Qualifying for the quarterfinal was out of reach. So what did Argentina do wrong? Well, they did a lot of things wrong. The first one is not playing with their strongest asset, the attackers. Dybala, the second best Argentine player, only played for 20 minutes. Di Maria played for 2.5 games. Aguero for 2 games. Sampaoli sacrificed the offense for defense. He benched his key players in order to have a more stable team. He benched world-class attackers for average midfielders. Is it pragmatism? Is it cowardice? Or just plain stupidity? It was a very stupid move to bench Dybala, who plays in one of the best teams in the world, for Meza, Acuna, Enzo Perez. Like, who are these players? Moral of the story is you should not bench your best players for worse players. The second reason behind this disaster class is inconsistency. Argentina never played with the same lineup for the 15 or so games where Sampaoli was the coach. In football, if you want your tactics to succeed, your players need to understand each other. Basically, you need chemistry, and you make it possible by having consistent lineups. If you take a look at all the lineups from Argentina's 4 games in the tournament, you'll notice that none of them have something in common. Like Argentina screams inconsistency. In one game you'll have a 4-2-3-1, the next a 3-5-2, a 4-4-2, and finally a 4-3-3. In 4 games, he used all possible lineups. If he had a 5th game, he would have probably used Messi as a goalkeeper. Why not? If it doesn't make sense for you, it makes absolute sense for Sampaoli. When you play in a league, you have 38 games. You have room for experimentation. But when it's knockout stages, there's no place for experimentation. You play with the same players, with the same lineup, you can only do some small adjustments. The third one is picking the wrong players. Willy Caballero, a bench warmer at Chelsea, who plays like 10 games a year, is chosen instead of another goalkeeper who is a starter for his team and who plays consistently. Benching Banega for 2 games, your best midfielder, benching Lo Celso for the whole tournament, Mascherano in Big 2018 is still a starter, and benching Dybala of course. Giving full games to the likes of Pavon and Meza, Caballero, Biglia, Enzo Perez, Acuna, Salvio, Mercado.
Just to suffer.
The fourth one is not having a good World Cup preparation. The only game that Argentina played before the World Cup was against Haiti. Haiti is obviously a below average nation when it comes to football. Not trying to disrespect, but this is the truth. Playing against Haiti was a huge mistake, because usually when the World Cup is on the horizon, nations play against other nations that have the same profile as the nations they are going to face in the group stage. So if you are playing against Nigeria in the group stage, you should organize a friendly game with an African team like the Ivory Coast, for example. For Croatia, you'll choose a nation that's located in the east of Europe. Bosnia is a good choice. Take a look at Croatia's World Cup preparations. They played against Brazil and Senegal, a team from South America and another from Africa. And I'll give them extra points because Brazil and Senegal are both in the World Cup. And deduce points from Argentina because they tried to play against a controversial nation, which resulted in death threats for the players who got mentally affected by it. And speaking about players, Argentina relies too much on Messi. Both players and the coach expect him to always provide and score. For a bit of context, I started watching Argentina regularly in 2013, and I noticed that Messi's teammates rarely gave any solutions, and they were like, "Here Messi, take the ball and do whatever you want with it." They just give him the ball and they expect something. Bunch of losers. Sixth reason, the Argentine Football Federation has no long-term plans. They keep on sacking coaches after failing in a tournament or two. Germany are the literal opposite. They appointed Joachim Löw in 2006. He didn't win a trophy until he spent 8 years and lost 1 final and 2 semifinals. In contrast, Argentina had 7 coaches in the last decade. Argentina peaked between 2014 and 2016. It's when Argentina was actually good. They were always in the top 3 of FIFA's standings. In my opinion, they should have kept Tata Martino as coach. Of course, under him, Argentina lost both of the Copa finals, but at least they played better than they do now. He should have stayed until the World Cup. So what are the things you should do and not do before playing in a tournament? Be consistent. Prepare for the tournament. Do not forget to work on your strengths instead of trying to fix your weaknesses, especially if you have no time. So after scratching the surface, what is the ideal Argentine lineup? I choose a 4-2-3-1. The goalie, Geronimo Rulli. Solid, plays in La Liga, and is the first choice goalkeeper for Sociedad. Defense. Otamendi is a no-brainer. Then, you see, Argentina doesn't have any great defenders, so I'm just going to fill in the blanks. Mercado as a right back who plays in Sevilla, Fazio who plays in Rome as a starter, and Tagliafico who plays for Ajax for left back. Now to the midfield. 2 central midfielders, Banega of course, the second is not Mascherano. He became old and slow and unreliable, so we should give it to Lo Celso. I chose both of them because first Banega has good long passing, he is a great dribbler, last season he was the 3rd best dribbler in the Spanish league, takes free kicks, he is a very good midfielder. Lo Celso is good at retrieving the ball, a good passer, and simply because he's better than the other Argentine midfielders. Now to the last 4, Di Maria on the left, Messi on the right, then Dybala, and Aguero as a central forward. I will explain my choices later, just keep watching. Even with this lineup, you're not going to win the World Cup without solid tactics. So what were Sampaoli's tactical mistakes during the World Cup? Now, the first match was against Iceland. Iceland played with a deep block. After the game, Sampaoli claimed that his fullback's offensive work rate wasn't good. Well, in this one, he is both right and wrong. One of the best ways to unlock a deep block is to rely on the wings. You also need luck and, most importantly, great fullbacks. But Sampaoli thinks he has freaking Jordi Alba. He thinks that the only problem was the wide players, and he forgot all the other issues like his abysmal player selection. Well, the next game he drops a 4-2-3-1 for a 3-4-2-1. Of course he chose the wrong players again, but take a close look at the lineup. This time he fixed the problem he had against Iceland by having 2 wide players. But Croatia is not Iceland. If this lineup was going to work with Iceland's defensive mentality, it will not work versus Croatia, because they are a different team with better players who score goals, who pressure high on the pitch, and are not as defensive as the Icelanders. And who the hell still plays with 3 defenders in the 21st century bar England? 3 at the back, with 2 of them being fullbacks. The Croatia game is a masterclass of how to not win a game. Sampaoli in his interviews and press conferences talks about how he tries to make the ball always accessible to Messi. If I remember well, Messi touched the ball for like 49 times versus Croatia. In contrast, with Barcelona, he averages more than 80 per game. Disaster class from Sampaoli. Definition of disaster class. Now to Nigeria. Sampaoli goes from a 3-4-2-1 to a 4-4-2. Inconsistent again, but at least the 4-4-2 makes more sense. The player selection is better this time, but not perfect. Again, instead of Dybala, you include Enzo Perez, who adds nothing to the team. Well, because Argentina was in shambles, Sampaoli opted for a conservative 4-4-2. This formation is good for moments that require a compact defense. I feel like Sampaoli chose this lineup to stop Nigeria on counters, especially Musa, who is a very fast player. Another issue was benching Aguero, who played the first 2 games. See, there's no consistency, and without it, you can't create chemistry. Other than this, Argentina played well. Their win was a miracle. Now to the last game, the second disaster class. I must say that Sampaoli didn't learn from his past experiences. This is the lineup I proposed minutes ago, and this is the lineup Argentina played with against France. So what's wrong with the lineup on the right? Forget defense, I'm only focusing on the midfield and the attack. Mascherano and Enzo Perez should not play. Tell me, Sampaoli, why does Enzo start in every game? Is he your son? Why do you think Mascherano played for 7 years straight as a defender in Barcelona? Because he's not suited for midfield, and he is nowhere as good as he was in 2014. These two should give their places to Dybala and Lo Celso. Secondly, why Pavon of all people? Of all people, you choose an inexperienced 22-year-old to play against France in the World Cup. Wow. Guys, this human has transcended logic. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Yeah. Remove Pavon, put Aguero. Now, why Messi playing as a full striker was Argentina's demise. As I said previously, Argentina lacks good wingers and fullbacks. When Messi plays in the middle, opposing defenders flock to him, which creates spaces in the wide areas of the pitch. When you have Mercado and Tagliafico as fullbacks, what's the point of having Messi as a striker? Messi is also a creator. He's Argentina's best playmaker. Not including Aguero with him diminished their goal-scoring chances. To back this up, Messi in an interview said that he prefers playing as a false winger, occasionally drifting to the midfield. Opposing defenders will be preoccupied with the right wing, ultimately granting Dybala and Aguero space to roam freely. Messi is also known for his through ball passes. When you give Messi freedom, he will have more options to dictate the game. Sampaoli is always explaining that he's trying to make it easier for Messi, but ultimately he made it impossible for Messi to unleash his full potential. When I opened my television, and as soon as I started watching the game, I had a feeling for the first time that the team I was rooting for was 100% going to lose. The only time they had a chance to grab the win was after they scored the second goal. But they kept giving away the ball so much because they were so low on confidence. They conceded the second goal, but Sampaoli waited until France scored the third one to make a substitution. You should have subbed after the second. Then came the fourth goal. Now Sampaoli has 25 minutes to reverse the score. It was his last chance to redeem himself, but he kept being stubborn. For his last substitution, he subbed off Pavon for Mezza. For real, when you are losing and you have one last chance, you bring out your best move, not freaking Mezza. It's common sense, come on! Sampaoli's disaster class is a lesson for all the current coaches, and for all the young adults that aspire to become ones in the future. If Argentina had fixed the issues I mentioned earlier, they could have probably won the World Cup, why not? But Sampaoli experimented too much even during the World Cup. National teams don't have time for experimentation. Most of them rely on simple and efficient tactics because they have no time. They're not like football clubs where they play 50 to 60 games per year and have 3 to 4 training sessions a week. Whereas for a national team, they play 10 matches per year. Sampaoli had time to experiment with Chile. After 3 years, he won a Copa America. Argentina's disaster class in the World Cup is both the federation's and Sampaoli's fault. Before you leave me, check out Adam's channel on YouTube. His channel is dedicated to making Messi videos, link in the description. If you have a YouTube channel, Twitter account, Facebook page, or even a business, just DM me on Twitter, and if I like your work, you'll be given a free shoutout in my next video. Thank you guys for watching. I've just hit 20k subscribers. Thanks again. Don't forget to check out my other videos. If you want to watch more commentary ones, check out the one on the left. For something different, click the right one. Because my channel is still small, don't forget to activate the bell icon so you get notified whenever I upload something new. And see you later.